Hi, thank you for joining me for another edition of Insight from my book, where we explore ideas that strengthen our leadership, deepen our understanding, and inspire us to become wiser citizens in an ever changing world. Whether you are joining us from New York or California, Texas or Florida, Alaska or Hawaii, or from American communities serving, studying, working, or living abroad, I am honored to have you with us today. My name is Reverend Dr. Clarence R. Pearson, Sr. I am a pastor, researcher, leadership consultant, public policy observer, and author with a passion for helping individuals, communities, institutions, and nations grow through wisdom, ethical leadership, responsible citizenship, and informed decision making. Today, I would like to share another important insight from my latest book, Neither Left Nor Right: The Battle for America's Democratic Soul. Our focus today comes from Chapter 14, Global Markets and Economic Instability. The central lesson of this chapter is both timely and profoundly important. America's political decisions do not stop at our borders. In today's interconnected world, the health of our democracy directly influences the stability of the global economy. America's economy is the world's anchor. The United States represents one of the largest and most influential economies in human history. The US dollar remains the world's primary reserve currency. American financial markets help shape global investment. American consumers drive international trade. American innovation fuels technological advancement, and American leadership influences economic confidence across continents. This means that when America's economy grows, much of the world benefits, but it also means that when America's political system appears unstable, markets notice, businesses notice, allies notice, investors notice. The world is watching not because America is perfect, but because America's stability matters far beyond its own borders. Markets depend upon predictability. One of the most valuable commodities in any economy is not oil, not gold, not technology. It is confidence. Businesses invest when they believe policies will remain stable. Families purchase homes when they trust tomorrow. Entrepreneurs create new companies when they believe the future is predictable. Markets dislike uncertainty. They can adapt to difficult conditions. They struggle with unpredictable ones. Political dysfunction, government shutdowns, debt ceiling crises, sudden policy reversals, or prolonged uncertainty can all reduce investor confidence. Confidence is difficult to build, but it can be lost surprisingly quickly. Trade should build bridges, not barriers. Chapter 14 examines how trade has become increasingly politicized. Trade policy is an important tool of national economic strategy. Nations have legitimate interests in protecting national security, supporting domestic industries, ensuring fair competition, and safeguarding critical supply chains. These are responsible conversations, but history also teaches that prolonged economic confrontation often produces unintended consequences. Businesses delay investment. Consumers face higher prices. Supply chains become disrupted. Trading partners seek alternative markets. Healthy competition among nations can stimulate innovation. Permanent economic hostility can weaken global prosperity. Trade is most effective when it strengthens mutual opportunity while protecting legitimate national interests. The lessons of supply chain disruptions. One of the case studies explored in this chapter examines recent supply chain disruptions and the effects of tariff disputes. The lesson extends beyond any single administration or political party. It reveals how deeply interconnected the modern global economy has become. A disruption in one country may affect manufacturing in another. A shipping delay on one continent may affect grocery stores on another. A conflict overseas may influence prices in American communities. The pandemic reminded us that economies no longer operate in isolation. America's prosperity is strengthened by resilience, diversification, innovation, and responsible international engagement. Economic security and global cooperation are not opposing goals. They increasingly depend upon one another. Economic leadership requires stability. Throughout history, America's greatest economic strength has never been merely the size of its economy. It has been the credibility of its institutions. The rule of law, independent courts, reliable contracts, transparent financial systems, peaceful transfers of power, stable constitutional government. These qualities encourage investment because they reduce uncertainty. People invest where they trust the system. This is why democratic stability is also an economic asset. Strong institutions strengthen markets. Strong markets create opportunity. Opportunity strengthens communities. Communities strengthen democracy. Everything is connected. Competition is healthy. Instability is not. The United States will continue competing economically with other major powers. Competition encourages innovation. It drives productivity. It inspires creativity. Healthy competition benefits consumers. But competition should never become chaos. America's greatest competitive advantage has always been the confidence others place in its institutions. When America demonstrates responsible leadership, markets respond positively. When America demonstrates constitutional stability, investors respond with confidence. The world does not expect America to avoid every challenge. It expects America to confront challenges responsibly. That expectation remains one of America's greatest strategic advantages. Why this matters today. This conversation matters because every American participates in the global economy, whether we realize it or not. The products we purchase, the retirement accounts we invest in, the jobs we perform, the businesses we operate, the prices we pay, are all connected to global markets. Political instability does not remain in Washington. It eventually reaches Main Street. Economic confidence is strengthened not merely by financial policy, but by democratic stability. America's leadership is measured not only by its economic strength, but by the reliability of its institutions. Three questions for reflection. This week, I encourage you to reflect on three simple questions. 1. Do I recognize how America's political stability influences economic opportunity at home and abroad? 2. Am I willing to support policies that promote long term stability rather than short term political victories? 3. How can I contribute to building trust, confidence, and resilience within my own community? These questions are not intended to minimize legitimate political debate. They are intended to remind us that economic prosperity and democratic responsibility are deeply connected. Why I wrote this chapter. I wrote this chapter because I believe many Americans underestimate the global significance of our democratic system. The world studies America's elections, America's financial markets, America's institutions, America's leadership, not because America is flawless, but because America's stability has long contributed to global stability. Our responsibility is not merely to preserve prosperity for ourselves, it is to preserve the institutional credibility that has allowed America to serve as an anchor of confidence for generations. Economic leadership begins with democratic leadership. The stronger our republic, the stronger our economy, and the stronger our contribution to the world. In closing, let's quickly review today's insight. Today we learned 1. America's economy plays a vital role in the stability of the global economy. 2. Markets depend upon confidence, predictability, and institutional trust. 3. Responsible trade policy should strengthen both national interests and global stability. 4. Supply chain disruptions remind us that today's economies are deeply interconnected. 5. Democratic stability is one of America's greatest economic assets. 6. Strong institutions remain America's most enduring competitive advantage. When these principles guide our thinking, economic policy becomes more responsible, markets become more resilient, and America's leadership grows stronger. If today's insight has been meaningful to you, I encourage you to get a copy of my book, Neither Left Nor Right: The Battle for America's Democratic Soul. The book is available through Amazon and other major online booksellers. Simply search for my name, Clarence R. Pearson, to discover this and my other published works. After reading the book, I encourage you to leave an honest review to help other readers discover this important conversation. I would also be honored if you would follow my Amazon author page to stay informed about future books, leadership resources, civic education materials, and new releases. Before you go, Please follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share. Together, we can promote responsible economic leadership, strengthen democratic institutions, encourage thoughtful public dialogue, and preserve the confidence that has long made America a source of stability for its citizens and for the world. I have been your presenter, Reverend Dr. Clarence R. Pearson, Sr., helping you transform knowledge into wisdom, conviction into character, and citizenship into impact. Thank you for joining me for this edition of Insight from my book. Until next time, remember, America's greatest export has never been merely its products or its technology. It has been confidence, confidence in its Constitution, confidence in its institutions, and confidence in its people. When we preserve those foundations, we strengthen not only our own future, but we contribute to a more stable and prosperous world. God bless you, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.